What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 62 of my reviewing and ranking Frank Zappa's guitar solos within the context of an album. Today, we're on Return of the Son of Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. Part 3, the third official standalone album of what is now just one massive Shut Up and Play Your Guitar box set. I'm going to rank these 6 guitar solos in order from how I like them to how I not like them to how I like them. And then I'm going to rank this album according to all the other albums based on guitar solos alone. Yeah, that's it. Do want to comment that the name of this, Return of the Son of, makes no sense. We had Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, some more. We never had the Son. Maybe the Son is some more, but he was going by a different name back then. So I guess this is the Return. I don't know. Kind of like the Rambo First Blood series. Just makes no sense. But anyways, let's get on to the solos. Yeah. Number 6, Stucco Homes. This is, from my understanding, from the same jam session, if you want to call it that While You Were Out came from. And what this is there is a Vinny drum track, which was used in a number of different songs, including He Used to Cut the Grass, Outside Now, and there's one other that, again, I've forgotten. I think there's 5 total. While You Were Out, and then this one. It's a Vinny drum track that Frank's used for other purposes. Apparently, Cucarulo did like a rhythm guitar, just listened to the drum track and jammed with the rhythm guitar over that drum track. And then Frank took the result of that and soloed over it on like an acoustic guitar, right? On his, what guitar was he using? The first time, I think he had recently just started playing this a lot. I don't know, the acoustic Black Widow. So I think he was just soloing over that. This one I think I like a little bit better than While You Were Out, especially it's longer. It's like close to 10 minutes, around 4 minutes. It hits this a little more like, I guess, traditional, almost easy jazz type vibe. I mean, it's nowhere near that. Vinny's the drummer. Around the 4-minute mark, it kind of shifts gears and kind of coasts in a little gentler way than it does prior to that. And that single shift around the 4-minute mark, I think really changes how I enjoy this, makes it a little more enjoyable. But this is just personally one of my least favorite aspects of Frank, the sort of xenochrony, acoustic xenochrony. So you don't get a lot of noise, you don't get a lot of distortion, you don't get the things that I really like about Frank. So it's number 6. Number 5 is the opening Beat It With Your Fist. This is a Torture Never Stops solo, part of a Torture Never Stops solo from October 1980. And apparently the story behind this is either the show before or recently, Frank was complaining to Barrow, the bass player, that he plays too many notes and said something to the point of, why don't you just play an A? Just stick with an A. So Arthur, when they got to this solo, just played an A, and I think he described it as in the most annoying way possible. It is very disjointed. It feels weird. It has that sort of 84 vibe feel where, like, you're not sure that Tunis and Wackerman are listening to each other. They're both doing these incredibly weird things, and Frank's in the middle doing something else weird, and every like 24 bars, they meet together and it makes sense. That's kind of what this feels like, but knowing that Barrow was just intentionally trying to be difficult and sticking to just playing an A as much as possible is kind of brilliant and kind of just makes the solo a little better and makes it a little more interesting. It's still a weird vibe. I don't think it's a good opener, but I don't think there's anything on this release that is actually a good opener for an album. It just starts off with this like weird upswell, and then we drop into this kind of a little more low key down here solo before things just get weird. It's an interesting listen. I'm not complaining about it. It's fun, and knowing the backstory of it, I think makes it a little more interesting. Not very long, couple minutes. But yeah, Beat It With Your Fist. That's number 5. Number 4 is Pinocchio's Furniture. This is another Fall 80, December 80 show. This is from A Chunga's Revenge. The Chunga's energy in this is almost non-existent. Like, a lot of times you can hear if you drop into the middle of a chunga solo, it sounds like a chunga solo. By this point in the Vinnie Arthur experience, like, it seems like they were just abandoning whatever the original vamp was as soon as possible and pushing the envelope in as many directions as possible. And the chunga's energy in this, in Pinocchio's Furniture, is just, it's kind of not there. And like, you kind of have to remind yourself, this is supposed to be a Chunga's Revenge. You don't hear that doom, doom, doo, 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 just kind of going that generally kind of sticks with the solo. It's gone. This really perfectly illustrates how just crazy Vinnie and Arthur were by this point. Very aggressive, some really odd rhythms that they're throwing out there. Experimental guitar soloing at its absolute best as far as what the rhythm section is doing and what Frank's trying to do. I do think listening to both Beat It With Your Fist and Pinocchio's Furniture, and having listened to a number of like Fall 80 shows, these almost seem like solos that do work better within the context of the actual song, because knowing where it goes off and where it deviates and why it's so weird, I think adds to the weirdness and the power of the solo. Yeah, and so it's just, I find these two interesting. I'm like, a lot of these, like for all these Inca Roads ones that are on here, which are the top of all my lists, I don't need to go back and hear the Inca Roads. Like, I can feel the song, I can feel the vibe. But these, I'm like, I kind of want to know what gets us to this point and what takes us from this point. I just have weird feelings about these. As much as I enjoy them and as much as I like them, I have weird feelings about these. I want a little more. What I want is more Fall 80 releases. I want a full Fall 80 release. Give us a Fall 80 release. Another full one. Just a couple more shows. Number 3, I feel like I'm kind of cheating by putting it up here. It's Canard de Jour. This is just Frank on a bouzouki. Which is kind of like a high, right, like a thin neck, high-strung mandolin type instrument, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have Jean-Luc Ponty on a baritone violin that many a time is just playing these droning, humming notes that are beautiful. And I'm not sure Frank's soloing on here is maybe even better than Pinocchio's or Beat It With Your Fist. But the overall experience of this song, the overall vibe of this song, almost everything Jean-Luc Ponty is doing, which I believe this is from like a 72 recording when Frank was still in the wheelchair, like, I just had to put it up here. And I had it up at 3, and then I was like, but wait a minute, I'm not really sure it's because of Frank. I think it's because of Ponty. But Ponty's, it's just the two of them. But when Ponty's up here, like, Frank's playing rhythm and Frank's supporting them, and Frank does get chances to solo, and Frank is responding and feeding into it, and they are interacting. So Frank is as much a part of this as Jean-Luc Ponty is. But I do think, I don't know, I kind of do think that Jean-Luc is the star here, and maybe this doesn't deserve to be number 3, but I really enjoy it. It's the album closer. It's the 3-set disc closer. I think it's a great way to close it. I really enjoy it. So I'm throwing it a bone. Tossing it a bone, putting it into number 3. Number 2, one of my all-time favorite is Why Johnny Can't Read. This is a Pound for a Brown solo from 79. And the beginning of it, it's like one of those where we kind of start with a very sort of like Yo Mama type landscape, very, barren, maybe some keyboard noises or percussion just added, like sprinkled in to just give a little atmosphere. But then it doesn't take as long to develop as, say, a Yo Mama, and then Vinny just comes in and just starts attacking, and it becomes almost the Frank and Vinny show for a while. And then it just kind of gets really crazy from there. And it's just like Frank is kind of all over the place and has all these crazy ideas. And it just seems like they're like going this way frantically and then making a quick like 45-degree turn and then another third. I mean, it just seems chaotic. But the real performance is much longer than this. And Frank has made these crazy edits throughout the entire solo and almost compiled an entirely different music, created an entirely different piece of music. There are parts where like he and Warren are trading off licks, Cucurulo's gone. There's a whole mystery rehearsal song theme. There's a whole 13 jam. Like Frank is just really just cherry picking and almost creating this entire new piece of music, which is just fascinating and just chaotic and really unlike the one that's at number 1, which is almost like just this marathon of just like like you're going all over this place, but it seems like the number one is it's conceptually tied together. This one just seems conceptually held together by chaos, but it's not that chaotic, but it is a very disjointed yet at the same time consistently chaotic solo that is just exhilarating, just absolutely crazy. Yeah, problem with the original version is maybe a new copy has been found since I listened to it last, but the copy I have, when this is from, like February 1779, not good sound at all. Kind of a difficult sound quality. If another one has popped up, maybe I'll look on YouTube and see if there is. It'd be worth checking out the full one. If I find one, I'll update or put in the comments or something, because the original version of this is pretty spectacular. But that's number 2, Why Johnny Can't Read. And then number 1, Return of the Son of Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. One of my all-time favorite guitar solos. 8+ minutes of INCA Roads, just beauty. It starts off very, very INCA Roads-ish. Like I've said on the previous video that I do, the more I'm listening to these and revisiting this with like this intent, I'm recognizing that the INCA Road solos going all the way back to maybe 74. Yeah, back to 74, then continuing into 79, and then again in 88, really seem like one really long conversation. And like every time Frank's picking up to start soloing again, it's like we're just continuing this conversation that we had. Because the rhythm section is generally doing some of the same things, right? The vibe doesn't really change in the solo section from 74 to 79 to 88. And it's just Frank seems so comfortable in here. He just seems to have these like almost like lectures that he's giving you, and like he's responding to what Vinny's questions and Arthur's comments, and like it does seem like this conversation that we the listener are also a part of just because we're privy to it. But yeah, it's just 8+ minutes of absolutely amazing stuff. Like we're heavy in the INCA stuff for like the first 50 seconds, and then about before the minute mark hits, we're abandoning that and going to some other weird places. About 2 minutes in, things start getting really weird. About 2:10, he has a new tone that he starts going. This is his very almost like, it's like a muted chainsaw, kind of this mangled electric kind of just very, I don't know. It's like, it's maybe attacking, but it's attacking in a, I don't know, a somewhat restrained way, but at the same time, it's this really weird, aggressive energy. Vinny and Arthur throughout the entire solo are just blowing your mind. Around the 5.5 minute mark, Frank really starts bending and getting playful with his bends and seems to be creating some kind of emotional tension in there. Around the 6 minute mark, little over 6 minutes, we get this evil psych vibe for about 20-30 seconds. It's almost like really dark, late 60s, almost Jefferson Airplane type energy. Vinny, right before the 7 minute mark, just has this fill that just doesn't stop for like 20 seconds. I think he's got like the kick drum going and it's just like this incredible just barrage of like fill going on. We get this marching vibe as we get towards like the 8 minute mark, around 7. It feels like we're on this more like we're going forward, and things just keep getting better and better and better. And it's just absolutely exhilarating. It's like a near perfect solo. Near perfect solo. Easily my number 1, Return of the Son of Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. That's what they look like in writing right there. 2 of my all-time favorites are on here. Number 1 and 2 might have made my top 10 list for Frank Zappa solos. That's how much I like those 2. 1 is just epicness, typical Frank Zappa epicness. 2 is just, well, I don't know what 2 is. It's a weird Frankenstein hobbled together type edited thing. Both exhilarating. But anyways, where would I rank this album among all the others? I have it all the way up at number 3. Definitely not as strong as Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, which might be perfect. Definitely not as strong as number 2, which might be perfect. 2 and 3 fall down because they have While You Were Out and Stucco Homes. I do think the stuff on the original one, the Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, the Treacherous Cretins, the Heavy Duty Judy, notch that up a little bit more, even though I do think the 2 best solos, 2 of the best solos, not the 2 best, but 2 of the best come from this release, my 1 and 2. Well, I'm going to do another video and ignore all that. I didn't say all that. I might change my mind. I'm going to do one really quick video after this and just go through all of them since we're already running close to 15 minutes here. So anyways, that's what I got. That's what they look like. Let me know your thoughts on these solos, how you would rank them. interested in where you would put this among the 3 releases. I'll make one more video just talking about each song, but that is how I would put the 3 releases. And then the question is, if I were to combine them into one single release as they are now, where would that fall? And that'll be on the next video too. So that seems like a mute question, but maybe it's not. I don't know. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment with your thoughts on these solos and these albums. And go listen to Frank Zappa, people. Go listen to Frank Zappa. Peace. Talk to you later.